Jesus Christus, unser Heiland. So Jesus Christ, our Savior, true. We are now in Eastern. And the text goes, He who death overthrew, its up arisen, and sin had put in prison. So that's a very serious text, but very joyful as well. So we overcome death, and all sins has been put in prison. Who would not sign for that? And Bach is in this choral is using one motive again to express that text, which is a very pleasant motive within syncopation. Starts on the pedal, and it goes on the entire piece. And then we come here in bar 2 already with an expression of the text where Bach says, He who death overthrew. And that here, that's at least my interpretation, is this chord. It's like a very ugly chord. So we start very kind of innocent. So this goes on the entire piece, and this moment here comes back at the end, bar 7, where we have almost the exact same setup as at the beginning. The pedal is just one octave lower. So here you have it. The only difference is that now we're going to the end of the piece, and on this piece not much more is to be said. There's a very simple motive with a syncopation, which makes it joyful, a little bit dance-like. Like in this case here, the interval goes up again. Not always the case, but the syncopation returns the entire piece. And so this moment of death returns, but the first time we just continue in a normal harmonic pattern. But that doesn't happen here. So we are here in this chord. Now Bach goes to kind of F major. But he doesn't go to F major, he seems to go to G minor. He doesn't go to G minor, he's going back to A minor. So if you play these chords, he gives the impression with the B flat to go to F major, then with the F sharp, G minor. It's quite spectacular. Of course you do not perceive that like that, but it is really strange if you just listen to this chord the entire choral is just 9 bars, and all of that is happening. Just very briefly, the end. So we've been talking about this motive, tom, goes on the entire choral, and even you almost want too much. Like Bach is continuing till the end, and even in the last bar, the last 2 bars, you have in the right hand and in the alto voice. It needs to stop, but the left hand here adds to that. It's like the choral just stops and hangs in the air, like there is no real ending, and it makes it so beautiful because you start like with this motive and it goes on and on and on, and every voice has that motive, and at the end, after the spectacular modulations, we come to a closure, and it's almost not a closure. just because we hold the D and we do not add the motive there, that we feel like, okay, there is like the handbrake is on and now we stop. And there's also the question like, how long do you hold that last note? What's the function of the fermata at the last note? You have a fermata here at the end of the choral melody, but you have also one at the end. And normally you've learned all like, okay, a fermata adds half of the value of the note to the note. So that would mean, strictly speaking, that here on the last eighth note, and there are two fermatas, three actually in the pedal as well, that we should add a 16th note to the 8th note, which of course does not make a lot of sense. I think that in this case, and Bach has the fermata in all the ending of the phrases, that it's just the end of the phrase, it's the end of the choral. And the question is, if you are actually, as a player, if Bach wants you to lengthen that note or not, it makes a huge difference. I don't think he wanted that. It's very beautiful when you have the piece ended like that, just like it's over, and as a listener, you almost do not know that the piece is over. And again, the reflection of the room is impressive then, at least I feel it that way. If you hold the note longer, you get another piece. It's more like, this piece has ended, let's continue now to the next one. Well, I think it's more dynamic to not do that. And the third way, but I'm not sure that would be like something that people at that time really did, is like to play a little bit slower at the end. Then you add, of course, a lot of emphasis to these last bars, a little bit more drama, maybe a little bit more. But for my feeling, at least, I'm not saying one cannot do that, but it conflicts a little bit with that motive that is ongoing. A little bit also with, what we know, what people did in that time, like this kind of ritenuto at the end. Was not something that was really done in this way. So that's at least how I think about it. Just very briefly about the registration, the stops choice. I have principles 16, 8 and 4, so just the principles of the pedal. And then the Hauptwerk, very simple, I would say, the principle 8 and the octave 4. Here again, you can have a lot of choices. You can play it on the principle 8 only. Then you get... The difference now is that the principle 8 is a little bit more singing compared to with the 8, with the 4-foot. The 4-foot makes it a little bit more orchestral, like a little bit bigger. And you can go even like with all the 8-foot stops that we've been demonstrating on this organ so many times, and make choices even. Just if I let you hear the 8-foot combination, for instance, with the manual coupled, is also beautiful. Even with the 4-foot, both of them. Yeah. But I personally would not go beyond that. And it is, for me, not a plenum piece, but I mean, you have possibilities to do that and interpretations that really would benefit that as well. One last thing for this piece, for those of you interested in the text and the score, I was doubting in bar 4, let me change the registration back to what I had, what I should play. And doubting is, is the right word. You have a 16th note there That's the only 16th note that is written in the entire piece, which is written in C and 12/8. So why the combination of these time signatures is simply because Bach wants to have like a 4/4 pulse for normal time signature, but he wants to write triplets. And in order not to write every time the triplet sign, he just chooses 12/8. But then you have the 16th note here, and I've actually recorded both versions, so I'm not sure what should be played there, but I think that the 16th note is maybe meant to be played as a triplet, which you see often, that people are not writing the triplets in those times, that you have dotted 8 note 16 in structures where it's obvious that it is meant as a triplet, so you play that as a triplet. So I think here as well. And in 16 I play both versions, and then you can compare. There's one version, the other one is. It's just a detail, but one of these details that, of course, makes it interesting to dive a little bit deeper. Thank you for being part of the Orgelbuchlein project. This is more than music. It's a message of deep human emotions, from sorrow to joy, and a shared hope for a better future.
At the Conscious Foundation, we believe everyone deserves a peaceful home, and we think that music has the unique power to unite people in harmony. From the organ at St. Michael's Peace Church in Leuven, we bring this vision to life.
Through inclusive composition projects, regular concerts, and our annual Organ Marathon for Peace, we inspire connection and hope. One day, we dream of hundreds of organs worldwide joined together in a resounding call for peace.
Help us amplify this message by joining our Patreon community. Link in the description.